incoherently. For example, a man said he wants to live, but in a few minutes later, he said he wants to die. That is to say, their story is inconsistent. Then we gathered and discussed these two topics. During the discussion, we thought that we all, including you and me, tend to talk about ourselves as fiction. We talk fictitious story to show that we are here. We use fiction to make sense of ourselves. Moreover, we talk fictitious story to show that we are better than real. That is to say, we do not reveal ourselves 100%. In sum, there are nothing wrong that the homeless story talk fictitious story. Then we decide that we treat the homeless story as fiction. Then I will explain the meaning of treating homeless story as fiction. Firstly, we do not mind if the story is real or not. For example, we had a man said he killed somebody in past, and we do not mind if the story is real or not. Instead, we emphasize the fact that he includes that killing in his stories. And in addition, we consider why he includes that killing in his stories. Secondly, we treat the homeless story as a tool to make sense of themselves. They either exclude or include fiction as they want to. That is to say, they utilize fiction to show off themselves. Alright, we have to ask, what can we get from treating homeless story as fiction? The answer to the question we do not know yet. And our project this time is our attempt to see what we will get from homeless stories. Then we decided we do another research activity. Starting from February 9th through 20th, we went to Shinjuku Station area. We met 6 informants and did semi-structured interview for 1 hour for one person. We mainly asked present and past daily life, detail how they became homeless, why they became homeless, and present daily life. For example, we met Mr. B in the west gate of KO line, and he tends to unbelievable stories. Okay, let's look at an example of homeless story. I'll show you Mr. C1. We met him on February 20th, and he has been homeless for 11 months. He does not build friendly human relationships with other homeless people, but he always exchanges food, things, and information with other homeless people. Throughout his life, he repeated working, saving money, returning, running out, working, saving money, returning, running out, and working. He became homeless after he retired from his last job. In daytime, he usually reads books and begs people food. Then I will explain how we analyze the homeless stories. We observed and analyzed the homeless story from 8 different points. I'm not going to show the detail now, but we will going to explain them in the next slide.
In this slide, I talk about first point. First point is their positive. I tell you the points they told about themselves positively. For example, Mr. T said he doesn't want money. Mr. C thinks he is diligent personality. As you can see, these stories include boastful talks, so we think they want to affirm themselves. Next, second point is their negatives. For example, Mr. T said he is treated badly by his family. Mr. A complained he has been looked down on by others. In sum, they include their negative episodes in their stories, as we normally do. Next, Third point is background of becoming homeless. Mr. A said he became homeless because he didn't have a job after leaving the prison. Mr. A became homeless because he had to pay his father's debt. In this way, they claim it's not their fault. So we think they emphasize avoidable happening pushed them into homeless. Next, fourth point is how they define their situation. Mr. C thinks he is happy now. Mr. Y said he will never go back to the past. Homeless life is way better. We found they live their life happily, and we think they look at their life positively. Next, fifth point is the reason why they stay homeless. Mr. C is said Mr. C is said homeless life is his form of existence. Mr. B thinks by being homeless, he can get more attention from others. Getting attention is fun because he likes talking about his heroic episodes. In this way, they stay homeless because homeless life fits them best.
Let's go to the next slide. I will talk about how they describe outside world. Outside world is majority society. First of all, Mr. T, he wants to go outside world. And Mr. C, outside world supposed to mean. For C, outside world is a world which gives him food and money. So we find out they have affirmative image about outside world. Let's go to the next slide. I will talk about what they want to talk about in their story. First of all, Mr. A, he wants to talk about helping other people. And Mr. B, he wants to talk about he doesn't hate people. So we observe that they want to talk about their positiveness. From this observation, we find out they have affirmative image themselves. Let's go to the next slide. I will talk about what they don't want to talk about in their story. First of all, Mr. A, he doesn't want to talk about greed for money. And Mr. C and Y, they don't want to talk about the reason for quitting the job. So we observe that they don't want to talk about money and job. From this observation, we find out they know their weak point and they don't want to be seen as sorry people. Let's go to the next slide. Let's summarize 8 points. So I just have told you from 1 point to 7 points. We find out, we understand they want to be seen as themselves affirmatively. And only 8 points, they don't want to talk about deny themselves. So we find out they talk as if they were willing to be accepted within society as homeless. Let's go to the next slide. In conclusion, as our approaching, we start to look at homeless story as fiction. And our finding, we find out homeless story is self-presentation. And we find out homeless story is self-approval. And homeless people create their own story based on the values and norms of normal society. And we find out homeless people don't create negative story. Now look at the literature. We review, although the same, homeless people are not accorded with the value and norms of normal society. However, we find out homeless people perceive themselves based on the value and norms of normal society. Now we finish our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Okay, great job. Okay, let's go directly into commenting questions, please.
Okay, let me be the first. Yeah, thank you very much. So I'm Hirose Takenashita from Keio University. So my question is about how did you get some contact with the homeless people? So the article is quite, in my impressions, it seems to be very difficult for the researchers to actually talk to those people. How did you contact those people? How did you gain some consent about the interviews from those people?
At first, we contact with volunteer activity and we join the activity, but at the end of the research, we directly contacted the homeless people on the road.
Ah, I see. But it is actually, do you feel any difficult actually to talk to those people actually without any help from the volunteers?
Yeah, it's too difficult for me.
I see.
But so, homeless people is very kindly people, so it's too very well speaking.
I see. Also, have you ever seen the female homeless people?
Yeah,
That is
so maybe so I meet to all of men. Yeah. Not so female. I don't so meet to women.
Any other comments?
Okay. Thank you so much. I enjoy a lot. My question is this. I'm wondering if the homeless people who accept being interviewed is the people who is likely to talk to you. So there are many homeless people. Some homeless people is willing to be interviewed, but others are not. And you do interview only with the former type of homeless people. What do you think?
That's right. We met only the former type homeless people because the volunteer introduced the homeless to us who likes speaking. But we met a homeless who don't like speaking. We just say hello and goodbye. We can talk with the homeless.
So your finding is about not about the homeless people, but about the former type of homeless people, right? It's not criticizing.
Okay.
Just confirm.
Okay. So finally, I also have another question about the what you found from the theoretical perspective, from the social actions. So I think that I have I may have the different points of views about the terminologies you use in your studies. So that is because you use fiction to describe what they are talking about. However, it's a bit actually you may want to actually use a different term to describe or to evaluate their narratives. So that is because actually from the sociological point of view, so there are two important components to define how people define the situations. So one is the kind of objective situations. The another is the subjective evaluation, subjective definition of the situations or surrounding words. So I think that if someone evaluates situation as being different from the objective reality, but however, some scholars argue that it is kind of the reality, subjective reality. So therefore, this is kind of like a comment. So from my point of view, so it's gonna be okay. Even though those stories seems to be fictitious from the other persons, but it's kind of the reality. That is because those people think that it's kind of the reality, subjectively determined by each person. So yeah, do you have any actual responses to my comment?
If we have a chance, we'd like to try research about the reality of homeless.
Okay, the time is I guess time is up, so we have to finish this the first presentation. And thank you so much.